Let's see here. I kind of put down right back and left back. Right back and left back here. But I guess we could just talk about like fullbacks or wide players in general, like non-attacking wide players, perhaps. Um, yeah, there's been some decent ones here, I think. Yeah.
There's been some very good ones already happened, yeah, for sure. Can I kick off? Is that right?
Yeah, go for it.
I like the Junior Firpo going to Leeds from Barcelona. 4-year deal, 13 million. I think he's a cracking signing. Helped him win the Copa del Rey last season. I really, really hope that he hit the ground running because Bielsa has been able to get a lot out of young players very quickly, and this is exactly what. But they've got a pretty solid team already, but this can only make things better. Competition for places is always good, and I know it's a lot of money, but 13 million in the current climate of footballers is not much.
Yep.
And when did that happen, by the way?
He's got some big shoes to fill because it looks like he's replacing Alioski, who was pretty good for Leeds last season. So yeah, it's an interesting move. I'm a bit concerned that he wasn't able to kind of force his way into the squad. I think he only got 800 minutes throughout his time last season. The season before he did a little bit better, got 1,400 minutes, but there's a reason why there's a drop off in play time for me. When somebody's getting older, they tend to get more game time, so it's concerning why he wasn't able to get as many minutes. But I have all faith in Bielsa and Bielsa ball. I'm sure he will be able to get the best out of Firpo. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how that goes. One that transfer that I'm actually really happy about is Danny Rose going to Watford. Another guy a bit like Tom Eaton, who he's just had a shit time of it in the last few years. This was a guy he's got 30 caps for England almost. Scored a belter on his debut. Put Arsenal essentially to the sword. Been in multiple PFA Player of the Year teams. Had issues with the Tottenham pay structure and was very vocal about that, which eventually led to him being dropped from the squad, going on loan to Newcastle, even not being allocated a number, meaning he couldn't get any game time. But figures-wise, he puts up decent numbers. I mean, he's made like nearly 200 appearances, 445 tackles, recovered the ball nearly 1,000 times, 615 crosses. I think Watford there have picked up a pretty decent player. I mean, I know he's getting on a bit. I think he's 31, but there's still definitely some legs in the guy, and he's got something to prove as well. So you can see that I can really see him kind of hitting the ground running and really trying to show the footballing world what he can do.
I want to make note of Nouri as well as let me see here. Mostly Nouri going to Wolves. Wolves actually also picked up Bola as well. So it looks like they're adding some depth at the fullback positions. I also want to make note of one other one that really caught my eye, and it's actually a transfer to Leicester.
Yes.
Yeah. We got Ryan Bertrand, who does add some steel and some veteran capabilities at the fullback position for a free transfer. That's actually really, really good. So yeah, Ryan Bertrand, fantastic.
I think that's a great pickup by Leicester. And there's talk of him maybe being used as a backup. For me, he's a starter. And that in that left back position, Leicester had no real consistency. They played Luke Thomas quite a bit of time, Timothy Castagna and Pereira, who were naturally right-sided players. So they had no real kind of left-sided consistent threat. I think Ryan Bertrand would certainly bring that. And Jesus Christ, the numbers that he puts up for a fullback are unreal. That's a big signing.
I've got another big signing, also at fullback. If I can go around again, is that right?
There's no rules here, Matthew.
No rules. Thank you very much, Magsy. Nuno Tavares for me. Nuno Tavares is a massive signing for Arsenal. 8 million, which look at it, bargain. Relatively low risk. 21 years old, played against the Europa League last year, of course. Been capped for the under-21s. I don't see how he can be bad with this one, to be fair. I mean, is it Kolasinac? He's moved on, I think, from Arsenal, I think, as well. I think them signing him, basically, this is going to free Saka up to be further up the pitch as we saw the Euros. Wow.
There's one thing that Arsenal defence needed was Steele, and with another transfer that I wasn't actually going to talk about because it wasn't confirmed, but I'm happy to shuffle my deck.
Hold on. I'll go ahead and bring up the little graphic here. There you go. We're going to talk about center backs now because I knew it was coming. Mags, do you have anybody in particular you want to talk about at the center back position?
I actually do.
Okay. We're talking about center backs, best transfers for the Premier League center backs. Mags.
So, there's Christopher Ayer from Celtic to Brentford. Is that the one you wanted? No, I know what you wanted.
He's on my list.
Well,
you
Matt
wanted
had him.
I mean, for context, guys, I essentially did my list yesterday morning, and I told Tanner and Matt that I was kind of using confirmed transfers rather than kind of deals that were essentially done, but the ink was still wet on the contract. And just as I said that, the Ben White contract transfer was confirmed. So I haven't actually done that much looking into him and what he'll do at Arsenal. But I am a Ben White stan, as I've shown over the last year or so. And I think the price is scandalous. There's no getting away from that. That 50 million is ridiculous.
Guru of Matitude in the chat definitely agrees with you, and I do as well. But we'll talk about why here in just a second. Stupid mosquitoes.
But as a player, it's hard to doubt why Arsenal have gone for him. This is a player who was a rock solid for the Brighton defence. Played 36 games. They only conceded 44 goals whilst he was playing. I think Brighton conceded a total of 48 goals, which is the best in this bottom half of the Premier League for last season. So defensively, Brighton and Ben White were solid, and he was a huge reason why that defence was so hard to penetrate. So Arsenal are picking up a banging centre back. He'll be way better than David Luiz was defensively. I think he'll form a really good partnership with perhaps Gabriel. I like the move. I think it's a good step up for him. The issue is that money, 50 million, and as Matt says in the chat, it's the English tax. Yeah, and at 40 million it makes sense. 50 million is overpaying, but he is an England international. He went to the Euros. That always puts a premium on something. And with him being English, going to an English club, it was always going to be expensive. But I would have liked to have seen him at Liverpool last season when they were talking of moving there at 20 million. It would have seemed like an absolute bargain. But I think it's a good move though.
Okay, well, let's talk about who Liverpool actually ended up landing instead. Ibrahima Konate, fantastic signing, I think. It does cause a little bit of a squad issue, especially considering how admirably
how blessed we are with centre halves now.
Yeah, we have a lot. We had very few, and now we have almost too many options. But the way that I see it is this: you could still obviously field whatever combination of Konate, Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, or even Nat Phillips. I think Nat Phillips will still be in the Liverpool squad come the end of the transfer window. Just my personal belief. I feel like they could still use him for their adventure into the cup matches. So yeah, if they all stay fit, fantastic. If not, you certainly still have Nat Phillips there that can certainly do a job. But Konate is exciting. I think that he brings a lot of very good, tough, physical edge to the game, but also his distribution is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Konate also went head to head, almost literally, in a preseason game where Liverpool lost 4-3, and Milner had to go over to sort it out, and by which I mean send Konate away, and instead he shouted in the guy's face instead, which is something you don't see him do very often, to be fair. Konate did get a card for it as well, but it was nice to see him having passion for the club already, and he's got one game in. Konate will do very well. I do think that he'll be partnering Van Dijk, because in the day you spend that sort of money and a half, that's £100 million of talent right there you spent on.
I mean, they did the same for Naby Keita, and he couldn't get even a sniff of the first team. So,
well, when he arrived, he was injured, Max.
Yeah, I mean, that may be the case with Konate, because there's a lot of chatter going, and I have to agree with it, that Konate is injury prone with recurring injuries. That as a signing, as a player, I think he's outstanding. As someone who is coming in relatively injury prone, that would be a huge concern for me. Like Chris in the chat said, he missed over a year in the past 2 seasons injured, and when he became fit, he was unable to kind of get his starting spot back alongside Upamecano, with Willie Orban playing the majority of the game. So that there is an injury concern there, especially when the issue you had last season was recurring defensive injuries. Do you want to kind of add to that treatment table? But if he's able to stay injury free, 22 years old, 6'4", an absolute tank of a human being. Him up against him and Van Dijk leading that back line. Whew, that's scary.
With Robertson one side and the newly re-signed Trent Alexander on the other. Wow.
Yes.
Keep that back line in safe. It's all good. Chris _ BFC in the chat. I will return fire by talking about my picks.
Chris _ BFC in the chat does note that he believes Konate is a bad signing. He does obviously go into details along the same lines as what Matt said. Mags said. Sorry.
It's okay.
I will make note. Just because I wear the shirt
with pride. He wears the shirt with pride.
Liverpool do not sign players lightly. They have 5 people in their research and scouting team that have doctorate degrees, and they run the analytics and the data quite a lot before signing somebody. I'm sure that they take injuries into account and all, but they aren't signing Konate just because he's big and tough and can play at center back. So that's all I have to say.
We all thought, well, we were pleased with Jota signing last year. We didn't think he was going to be the revelation he turned out to be. They know what they're doing. Clearly, you're right. Talking about people who know what they're doing, I'm going to talk about my personal favourite signing for centre half in this window. It's a young lad, 20 years old, who has left the Championship club to go to Premier League club. Max is salivating because, it's Natty Collins.
It's a great signing.
Nathan Collins, the club's youngest ever captain at Stoke. And your chairman, Burnley's chairman, Alan Pace, said they were delighted to sign one of the most promising players in the country. He had the potential to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. This is going to be baptism by fire, I feel, a little bit in the Premier League. But sometimes that's where we've seen last year. We saw with Nat Phillips last year. Sometimes that's exactly what you need to do. You need to blood him early and get a bloody nose early as well. And from what I've seen of him, he'll get stuck in and do exactly what you need to do for you.
Oh yeah, he seems to be a very, very brave player. There's no kind of bullying him, even though he is 20 years old. But yeah, I feel that's a little bit of a coup for Burnley because there were a lot of bigger teams sniffing around for him. So for him to come to Burnley is a great signing, and who better to potentially learn under than Ben Mee and hopefully Tark if we're able to keep hold of him.
Chris all of a sudden has changed his tune and is speaking positively about the people being suggested here in the chat. I wonder why.